This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Pursuit Fitness, and I'm delighted to be joined by Head of Sky Sports Boxing, Adam Smith. Adam, it's been a while since I've seen you, so how are you keeping?
Well, I've been around. We had obviously a big night at the O2 on Saturday, which was great, and we rolled straight on. It's a huge announcement this August the 31st. Sky Sports box office, and in my opinion, the greatest fighter of our generation, maybe after Floyd Mayweather sort of decided, well, certainly for the moment, to stay in retirement. I'm not sure whether Manny Pacquiao's very good win on Saturday night might change his mind again there, but I think currently you've got to say he's pound for pound number one. Lomachenko, he's a pleasure to watch. He was the most outstanding amateur, I think, probably ever, and I was lucky enough to be there for his professional debut, calling the Ramirez fight, and I just felt we were on the start of something spectacular. And in my opinion, he's a superstar, he's elite, and now you've got one of our great amateurs and probably underachieving pros in Loma-Campbell with a golden opportunity to fight the very best. And they sound confident, George and Luke, and I'm sure Shane and the team will have him absolutely ready. And you know, he's got a chance of really pushing Lomachenko, but Lomachenko is an unbelievable talent. It's going to take something really, really amazing to beat him, I think. But I cannot wait to have him here.
What does Luke have to do to try and defeat pound for pound defeat someone who people consider to be the number one best fighter in the world?
Well, he is. I think he is, and certainly in my opinion he is, and most others. I mean, Lomachenko in 14 fights to become a three-weight world champion, to have a world title fight in his second fight, and being unlucky really there. And you know, he's amazing. He's incredible. Ask Anthony Crolla. You know, he made Anthony Crolla, a world champion, look like a complete novice, and you know, Anthony would admit that. He's got such an incredible ring intelligence. Not just the speed, the southpaw style, the versatility, the ring movement to go with that, but his intelligence in the ring is phenomenal. But Luke is a very bright fighter. You know, I've watched Luke since he was 14, 15. He's always been a terrific talent, great amateur himself. I mean, they met at the European Championships. You know, Luke won Olympic gold alongside Vasyl Lomachenko at the London Olympics. So, you know, this guy is a really good fighter. What's he got to do to win? He's got to utilise his height and reach, and he's got to utilise his height and reach very cleverly. He's got a lovely southpaw jab. He's got great movement himself. He's going to have to, you know, back up Lomachenko at times. Might carry a bit of extra weight into the ring. You know, it's going to be tough though, because Lomachenko can work out puzzles pretty quickly, pretty effectively. He has been beaten once as a pro, but let's be honest, that was his second fight and it was a world title challenge, so I don't read too much into that. I think it will take a supersonic effort for Luke Campbell to win this fight, but I tell you what, he's going to go for it. He's got absolutely nothing to lose. It's a golden opportunity, and if he does, it's got to be one of the big British wins of all time. You know, Ricky Hatton fought Costas Hugh, and a lot of people wrote Ricky off. You know, Costas Hugh, the pound for pound best, or number two at the time, certainly, and Ricky went and shocked everybody by just taking the fight to him, putting Hugh out of his comfort zone. But again, I think at that point, even Ricky would admit now, Kostya was, you know, had a lot of fights, whereas Lomachenko seems to me at 31 fresh and ready to try and unify all these titles and maybe go up and become a four-weight champion. I think the guy's special. I think he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. If they haven't already found a slot for him now, they certainly will in the future. I mean, I love great fighters of generations. You know, Sugar Ray Leonard was an incredible talent, wasn't he? Then you have Floyd Mayweather, and is Vasily Lomachenko the sort of next of that triumvirate? You know, the great late Pernell Whitaker, who sadly we lost the other day. You know, he was probably the best defensive fighter I've seen, a wonderful talent, and I think Lomachenko is in that sort of class, in that category. Can we put Luke Campbell there? No, not yet, of course not. But he was a very good amateur. He may have got this fight at the right time. He's got it on home soil. And as I said, he's got nothing to lose. So I think he'll give him a run for his money. Whether he wins or not, that's a big ask.
Would you give Luke a better chance than what Anthony Crolla had?
Yes, I would. I think Anthony, obviously going out to LA, you know, he'd had those two defeats to Jorge Linares. You know, Luke is fresher. I think Luke has probably more natural talent as well. Anthony, a great fighter and a great trainer, and he brought absolutely everything out of him. But I think Luke has got more of a ring IQ, and I think that, you know, in technical terms, and two southpaws as well are going to meet, of course. He's listen, Jorge Linares beat him, but it was close, and he had a lot going on in his life at the time. He's more settled, he's more mature. I think he is in the best possible position as a professional. The trouble is, you're looking at a very good fighter and an elite fighter, and I think we've got to remember that. I think if Luke Campbell pulls this off, it will be one of the biggest upsets of all time. But then we've seen one of the biggest upsets of all time already in the Garden this year, so don't write it off on August the 31st. But I think we should also admire the fact that Vasily Lomachenko is coming over here, like Errol Spence did, like Gennady Golovkin, like his great friend Alexander Usyk did. And we saw the results there. Golovkin far too much for the undefeated welterweight, naturally, Kell Brook. Errol Spence, too much for Kell Brook. And Alexander Usyk, too much for Tony Bellew. My sensible head says, as much as I really like Luke Campbell, as much as I've watched Luke Campbell develop over the years, and he was our Young Boxer of the Year for the British Boxing Writers Club as well, I think it's a really hard ask. And unless he gets Lomachenko on a really bad night, and there's a bit of luck as well, I think it will be very tough for him to win. But I think he'll come out of it with his reputation seriously enhanced. But I think Lomachenko is a very, very special fighter.
Now, we never had the chance to catch up with you on Saturday night after Whyte-Rivas. Just talk to me about that fight and the rest of the card.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the card. Top to bottom, it was a great one, wasn't it? Particularly for the real fight fans. There was plenty on it. Slightly disappointed with the Paul Billum Smith fight. I thought that would be a bit more exciting. It was tense. It was a lot of wrestling. I think they were both so eager to please, and both came out of it well, and they could move on. Derek Chisora, fantastic second round knockout win. Didn't think that would happen so quickly against Artur Spilka, and that's great. And I'd love to see. I told Eddie I'd love to see Chisora in with Joseph Parker now, maybe in October. I think that's a big fight for him. David Price. I think for me, the sort of memory of the night, rolling back the years, he's had so much criticism. He could have just, buried his head in the, in the sand. He could have just walked away from it. He's had a lot of people saying, good, you've had 6 stoppage defeats, whatever. He is good. He was an Olympic bronze medalist, an ABA champion. He was a British heavyweight champion. He's a very, very good fighter, David Price. But mentally, we know he can be fragile on the big occasion. This time he wasn't. He outclassed, outboxed poor David Allen, who fortunately is okay. I had a chat with him on Sunday morning. He's gutted, but he was totally outdone by David Price. It was a brilliant win for Price. As far as Dillian goes, I thought Dillian won it and won it quite comfortably. I mean, some people said it was close. 1 or 2 people even said to me at ringside they thought Rivas won it. I didn't. I thought Matt Macklin had him by 5 rounds. Paulie had it wide. Tony Bellew. They all thought Dillian won it quite comfortably. I think obviously bar the opening round, the definite sort of big scare in the 9th. But I thought, he was just a little bit of a step ahead of Rivas, who for all the bluster, all the punch rate and the attempts and the gladiatorial spirit he showed, and he never stopped trying. I just thought he was slightly one-dimensional, a little bit short of... and Dillian just, utilised his jab well. There were moments, and some of the rounds were close, and I can see people thinking it was closer, but for me, Dillian found a way again, and he keeps doing it, and he's mandatory challenger. And listen, he never stops surprising us, and he's always in good fights. So he deserves his chance, be it against Deontay Wilder or whoever it ends up being. He should have it now, and he will get it. Will he become world champion? Who knows? You never know with Dillian Whyte, but tell you what, it wouldn't surprise me.
Dillian obviously waiting until next year for that chance to fight for the WBC world title. In the meantime, he's going to look at to get out once more. What level of opponent do you think that he should be going in with? Obviously, it's that risk that he's just getting that mandatory slot to go in with someone who's at the top of their game, the top of the division. What type of level of opponent do you see him going in with?
Well, I think you're right. I think if he takes another big, hard fight like a Rivas, a Parker, a Chisora, I think that will be pretty silly at this stage. He's done all that, and I think also he probably needs a bit of a rest. He's okay. He was only first time out this year, but it's another hard fight, a brutal fight at times. Although, as I said, I felt he won it, as did the judges, and most people thought he won it by whatever margins. But it was a hard fight, a very hard fight, brutal at times. I mean, Rivas never stopped coming, and he'll come again. But I think Dillian needs, a slightly easier night's work. I'd like to see him sort of get a toughish heavyweight, maybe over in America or possibly here. But someone that he can maybe just sharpen the tools on, so the rust doesn't settle in. Maybe get a sort of confidence building knockout and that sort of thing, and and get ready for 2020, because when his chance comes, he's got to take it. He's waited and he's carved out his road, and I think that's why people respect Dillian Whyte, because he's done it his way. And since the Anthony Joshua defeat, everything's gone right for him. He turned down the AJ rematch in April. I thought he was mad. I thought he had a chance, certainly, if not of beating him, certainly again enhancing his reputation. It was a lot of money being offered. He said no, wasn't enough money. The training time was wrong. He never thought the fight was there. He said it didn't exist. He was always going to fight Jarrell Miller in New York. And look, he went on. He fought Rivas. He's got himself in a mandatory position. He's done it his way. I've got huge respect for Dillian Whyte, and on he goes.
And during the night on Saturday, you mentioned it earlier, Manny Pacquiao versus Keith-Thurman. Manny Pacquiao once again shocking the odds. What was your thoughts on his performance?
It was a night for the old boys, wasn't it? Derek Chisora and leading the dances with Michael Buffer, wasn't he? Just before the opening bell of the Whyte fight, Chisora rolling back the ears, David Price rolling back the ears, and Manny Pacquiao. What a competitor he is, taking the middle of the ring, wanting it almost more than Keith-Thurman at times, and still rattling in those combinations, the fast hands. He's a phenomenon, Manny Pacquiao, and as much as we salute someone like Vasily Lomachenko, who's got a long way to go still, Floyd Mayweather, in my opinion, was always going to beat Manny Pacquiao. Defensively, such a genius, but Manny Pacquiao has been certainly the most exciting fighter of recent years, and on he goes at the grand old age. What is he, 40 now? And who's he going to fight? The winner of Spence Porter, Amir Khan, as Amir believes he will, or will he tempt Mr. Mayweather out of another retirement for another big money payday? I'm sure that's probably top of the agenda, but we'll see. It's great to see Manny still performing, and long may it continue. Well, maybe not long may it continue. He deserves a rest at some point, but while he's fighting like that, we want to see him.
Some people over social media have made some suggestions that because there was no VADA testing, he may have had some form of influence from a performance-enhancing drug. Do you think that could have been a possibility?
I don't. How can we comment on that when there's no evidence of it? I mean, my opinion on drugs in the sport. There's no place for them. But it's not up to us. We're not the governing bodies. We're not we're not VADA. We're not just the commissions, the Nevada Commission. We're not the British Board. We broadcast fights. No place for drugs in the sport. Manny Pacquiao got a great win against Keith-Thurman.
Well, Adam Smith, I appreciate your time. Kept you for long enough, so as always, thanks for speaking to Boxing Social.
No problem at all.